Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Rick Merica. I'm a practitioner here at Seaside, and I have just a couple of really quick, brief announcements. First of all, I'd like to remind everyone of the Thanksgiving celebration that takes place tomorrow. And we'll have a service at 12 with Reverend Christina, and then we'll have a meal at 1 p.m. tomorrow, 1 p.m. So the service at 12, and the meal starts at 1 o'clock. So please join us. We usually have plenty of food. Now I'd like to introduce our practitioner this evening that'll be holding the light, Valerie Rodriguez. So Valerie. Our musicians this evening are Ronnie Tretzvin and Jeanette Alexander. Jeanette Alexander. So would everyone please stand in the congregation and join us in our first song of the evening, I Trust in God.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one in the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender, I surrender. I am one in the Spirit all around me. I surrender, I surrender. I trust in God. One more time. I'm grateful. I am one in the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender, I surrender. I am one in the Spirit all around me. I surrender, I surrender. I trust in God. I trust in God. I trust in God.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Thanksgiving Eve service. I would like to invite anyone now who has not lit a candle to come forward and light a candle. And just one word of safety: when you light your candle, can you extinguish the flame before you hand the stick off to anybody else? Okay, thank you. So I'm Robyn Holt. I'm a practitioner here at Seaside Center for Spiritual Living, and I'm a ministerial intern. And this is my very, very first service. So thank you so much for being here and honoring me with the gift of your presence. It means a great deal. So this is the time in our service when we go into meditation. So we're going to dim the lights. And I'd like you all just now to close your eyes. Just focus on your breathing. Take a couple of nice, deep breaths. And I'd like you in this meditation to place your right hand on your heart. Just keep breathing deeply. Feel the warmth of your heart underneath your hand as you feel the beating of your heart. And imagine inside your heart there's a little candle with just a little flickering flame. And I'd like to have you bring into your heart a person, a thing, or an event that represents joy and love to you. And as you bring that person, thing, or event into your heart, imagine that the candle, the light, the flame is getting brighter and warmer. And then repeat that process of bringing into your heart another person, thing, or event that represents love and joy to you. And keep having that candle flame grow brighter and stronger. And feel the warmth start to fill your heart and then move throughout your entire body. So we're going to go into a few minutes of silence, and I encourage you to keep repeating that process so that the love not just fills your heart and your body, but it fills this entire sanctuary.
It is that wonderful breath of life that breathes me into presence as consciousness. For it is that high vibration of gratitude that unlocks the essence of life and opens the doors to the power, the wisdom, and the creativity of the universe. For gratitude is the sacred inner journey of the heart. It is the vibration of love that is within every heartbeat. For we are all the divine essence of spirit. We live, move, and have our being in this wonderful life we call love. For love is all there is. Love is that high elevated emotion that fills itself up with its own essence of gratitude. It is the mere reflection of who we are as we moved into that space of gratitude. So how grateful I am to be present in this evening. So as community, we simply just open ourselves up and enjoy and receive the many blessings that this service offers. And so it is. Good evening. My name is Kay Samuelson. My reading for this evening is the Joyous Abundance Journal. And it's the power of gratitude. Glasses. Here we go. So gratitude is the most powerful way to increase your blessings. Be grateful for all you have, and it increases. Be grateful for situations in which you are learning, and you deepen. Be grateful for what you are becoming, and you grow. Gratitude blesses your whole life. Gratitude is where freedom and destiny meet, because gratitude is a divine doorway to the fulfillment of destiny. When you consciously choose to express thanksgiving, this sets causation in motion to manifest your destiny of wholeness in every expression of life. It's Michael Beckwith.
So tomorrow, of course, we all know, is Thanksgiving Day. And it's, like probably many of you, my favorite American holiday. It transcends religion, transcends politics. It's a day when the entire country just pauses and takes a deep breath and says, thank you. And I remember so what I thought of when I was getting ready for this talk was how many hundreds of people are going to be experiencing their very, very first Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow. Because I can assure you there's going to be lots of people who've never had a Thanksgiving dinner before. And that was true for me. I experienced my very first Thanksgiving dinner as a 17-year-old exchange student when I was living in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, many years ago. And it was fabulous. I mean, I was just like a lot of people, the very first time you have a Thanksgiving dinner, particularly as an adult, it just kind of blows you away. It's like, whoa, where did all this food come from? And I was reminded a couple years ago, my nephew Ben was working in New York City. And I was talking to him on the phone. I said, so Ben, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? And in the typical kind of 30-something millennial answer was, I don't know. So I think what I probably said to him, I can't remember exactly, but I think what I probably said to him was, look, Ben, if you do nothing else, make a booking at a restaurant that serves a Thanksgiving dinner, grab a couple of friends, and experience this because you may never get to experience it again. And trust me, it's worth it. This Thanksgiving dinner is like something to behold. So he, of course, went, yeah, okay. So I happened to be in New York a couple of weeks later, and of course I asked my nephew, Ben, what did you do for Thanksgiving? And he said, well, they have this program in New York City. You can sign up, and they'll match you with a family that will take you in and give you Thanksgiving dinner. I went, that is so cool. So he got to have his first, and at this point, only Thanksgiving dinner in this country in a, dare I say, huge house in Connecticut with a beautiful family. It was mother, father, 2 sons and a daughter. And he was like, it was the full East Coast, formal, China. I don't quite know how many people were there, but he was really, really impressed. And you know how hard it is to impress the 30-somethings these days. So I said, well, look, I just felt so grateful at that moment for the fact that my nephew, a whole family in this country just opened their doors to he and a mate, complete and utter strangers, and gave them this fabulous meal. And then my nephew very sheepishly said to me, yeah, and I'm dating the daughter. I thought that was really a good Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, I don't think the relationship has kind of lasted the distance. I think the tyranny of distance between Sydney and the United States is kind of, at this point, it's on hold. So well, let's just say that for right now. So the definition, my talk tonight was bounty, blessings, and boomerangs. And we're talking about the bounty. Well, the definition of the word bounty is good things given or provided freely and in large amounts. I love that definition. Because really what we are talking about in Thanksgiving is actually God's bounty. Because it's all God's bounty. And when the Pilgrims came over many moons ago, they didn't have money that they could take to the store and buy cans of pumpkin. They probably came over here, this was sort of something that they came over with these things, seeds probably, and that's what they did. They planted them and they grew. This actually is a fava bean plant. I don't think we have fava beans. Anybody have fava beans at Thanksgiving? I know I don't. But it was the biggest seed I could find. Because inside this seed is the blueprint of a fava bean plant. Like if you plant this, you're not going to get a rose bush, you're not going to get a corn stalk, you're going to get a fava bean plant. And that's the miracle of God's bounty. And what we know about God's bounty is it's always available. It's inexhaustible and it can never be depleted. Now we can cut ourselves off from God's bounty. We can cut ourselves off or we can slow down our access to it. And the way we do that is by being confused or ignorant of the law of cause and effect. And the law of cause and effect, of course, is, from the biblical expression, it is done unto you as you believe. But whatever you believe or don't believe, God's supply and God's bounty is always there. It never stops. It's flowing and giving and pouring itself forth. So tomorrow, I hope when you sit down to that beautiful, great big Thanksgiving dinner, I hope you just pause for a minute and realize that this is God's bounty in front of you. And even though we don't plant so many seeds like the Pilgrims do and harvest the bounty, that we are still having access to it each and every moment of each and every day. Because the truth is, God's bounty is inexhaustible and freely available to us always. That's just the bottom line. So tonight I have a Thanksgiving story for you. This is a story about a young woman called Penelope Jane. And Penelope Jane was walking down the street of her little town in the the Colorado Rockies. And she was feeling about as low as she could possibly feel. She'd lost her job, her boyfriend had dumped her, and her sister had called this morning and said, "I'm not coming into town for Thanksgiving." And as she walked down the street, she noticed a florist shop. And for some reason, she was drawn to go into the florist shop. Now, this florist shop was owned by a woman called Betty. And Betty looked at PJ and said, "Can I interest you in one of these beautiful Thanksgiving bouquets?" And PJ said, "Well, not exactly." And then outpoured this tale of woe. So the tale of woe, just as she was finishing it, a woman walked into the shop, and Betty excused herself and went out the back and brought out a great big, beautiful bouquet of long-stemmed roses and proceeded to cut all the heads off. Now PJ is standing there going, "Why is she doing that?" So Betty then said to the woman, "Would you like me to put these in a box for you?" And the woman said yes, so she put them in the box for her and wrapped up the box. The woman paid and then walked out. And PJ is left there going, did she just realize she walked out with a bunch of long-stemmed thorns? And Betty laughed and looked at PJ and said, "Yeah, that's the Thanksgiving special." And Betty went on to explain. She said, "That woman came into my shop feeling about as low as you feel today about 3 years ago. She had recently lost her father to cancer. The family business was failing, and she had just found out she needed to go into hospital for major surgery. And that had been a particularly tough year for me as well. I lost my husband. I took over this shop and was managing it for the first time on my own. And I was looking at a Thanksgiving dinner for the first time all alone. And she said, I'm a very spiritual person, and I had found it very easy to be thankful and grateful in the good times. But when the times got tough, when the times got difficult, it was much harder, and I found myself sort of wallowing in the negativity of it and the self-pity. But with the help of my community and through the power of prayer, I knew that in time it was possible to transcend the difficult times and to find some measure of peace again. And so she said, that year I put a vase of long-stemmed thorns on the counter here in the florist shop. And that woman walked in and asked me what they were there for, and said she wanted to take a bunch home. So now I have a lot of customers that come in at Thanksgiving to take home a bunch of long-stem thorns to remind them that there are lessons and blessings in the tough times, in the thorny times. And it's important that when we're giving gratitude, that we actually give gratitude for those times as well. Because that's how we humans grow and learn, is not just through all the good times, but in the times when we know that there have been some tougher times, some thorny times. So PJ could feel the tears welling in her eyes as she kind of started to loosen her grip on the sadness and despair she had been feeling. And she said to Betty, I think I'll have a bunch of those long stem thorns. And Betty said, well, I was hoping you'd say that because the first bunch is on me. So I have a beautiful friend. She lives in Houston, Texas. Her name is Jane Holston. If you're watching, Janie, hi. And 20 years ago, she coined this phrase. She used it in every conversation we ever had. And you know what it is, don't you? She said, you have to have an attitude of gratitude. 20 years ago, she was saying that, long before it became trendy. Anyway, being a typical kind of somewhat cynical Australian, I went, oh, that is so hokey. But you know what, in the 20 years that I've known Jane, and she has said this expression, her new expression is SMTC, which she says at the end of every conversation we now have, and SMTC stands for so much to celebrate. So we've kind of morphed into from attitude of gratitude to SMTC. That's, I think, new texting, language. So, but what I've come to learn in the last 20 years is that the power of gratitude is pretty amazing. And they have actually discovered now scientifically, because science is always catching up to spirituality, not the other way around. So science is now catching up. So up until the year 2000, only about 10 studies had been done scientifically studying the impact of positive emotions on we humans. But since the year 2000, there has been over 150 studies done, because they've discovered that positive emotions like love, joy, happiness impact very markedly the chemicals in our body, the dopamine and the, I can't say oxytocin, I don't want to say the drug, I'm trying to say it's a naturally occurring in our bodies. And it releases those, and as a consequence, there is this huge positive impact on our physical being, on our systems, on our emotions, on everything. And I'm not going to relate to you the 150 studies, but there was one in particular that I really liked. It was actually done this year in 2015 by the University of San Diego Center for Excellence in Research and Training in Integrative Health and the Chopra Foundation. And they found that people who practice and have a tendency to express gratitude were able to have more energy, sleep better, have less fatigue, less depression, and less systemic inflammation in their body. So what we know is that gratitude is good for us. So I hope, and I know a lot of people in this sanctuary here tonight, that gratitude is not just about tomorrow, is it? It's about physically, actively expressing gratitude all the time, in any way that we can, because we know that it has such a positive impact, not just on us, but on everybody to whom we give out our gratitude. So there are there's lots of bounty and lots of blessings. And now I want to talk to you about boomerangs. I bet you didn't think that boomerangs had much to do with Thanksgiving. But of course, the boomerang, this is a genuine Australian boomerang. Boomerangs, of course, are used a lot when people are talking about the law of giving and receiving. But I wanted to give you a little bit of an insight, because I'm Australian, into this little implement. This is used by the Aboriginals of Australia. It's a hunting implement. And it's shaped like two wings of an aeroplane. These indigenous people, who are amongst the most ancient people of the world, have figured out a way to shape a piece of wood aerodynamically so that it will come back to you. And why did they do that? Well, because if you throw a boomerang, the idea was that they threw it in an arc, it would hit the kangaroo would be stunned on the ground, and there would land the boomerang. So they go and collect the kangaroo, and they go and collect the boomerang. However, if they missed, the boomerang came back to them. I mean, I'm sorry, but when I was thinking about it, I thought that is ingenious. They were into recycling thousands of years ago. What do you think? But if anybody wants to have a look at this, it is aerodynamically shaped like the wing of an airplane. And they figured out how to do this. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to throw spiritual boomerangs. Now, the way you throw a boomerang is you stand into the wind and you throw it at a 45-degree angle. Now the wind, I checked tonight. Anybody see the moon tonight? That was so awesome. The wind comes in this part of the world onshore from the west. So I'm facing west right here. So I want you to, right now, I'd like you to just close your eyes. And I'd like you to imagine that you're standing facing the west and you have in your hand a spiritual boomerang. And your boomerang is imbued with all the blessings and the love that you would like to send right now around the world. Maybe you want to send some blessings to the people of Mali or Beirut or Paris, or blessings to family and friends that are separated from you right now and will not be with you tomorrow. So imagine throwing your spiritual boomerang to the northwest with as much energy and power and love as you can muster. And as you imagine this boomerang flying around the world, know that it is also attracting to it millions and thousands of blessings from other people all over the world. Blessings of love, blessings of peace, blessings of wisdom, and they're all being attracted to your boomerang. And it's going to fly all the way around the world. And it's going to come back into your left hand. That feel good? Throw your boomerangs around the world. So I'd like to invite the musicians back up onto the platform as we just keep our eyes closed and go into prayer. For I know that there is only one power and one presence. However I call it, whether I call it God, I call it divine intelligence, I call it infinite wisdom, it is the source of all, it is the cause of all that exists in the world. It is inexhaustible and can never be depleted, and pours forth its love, its wisdom, its abundance in eternal givingness. And I know that I am one with that source, that as my consciousness is one with the flow, with the abundance of life, that all the good that there exists in the world is mine to have, is mine to enjoy, mine to share, mine to heal, mine to give and to receive in each and every moment of the day. And as I know that this truth is true for me, I know that it is true for every person who is here this evening. For we are all spiritual beings. And the Spirit moves in, as, and through us to disseminate the good, the love, the peace, the joy that is available always. And so I am just, my heart is filled with gratitude this evening, gratitude for God's bounty, gratitude for the so many, many blessings that I have in my life, and I know how many blessings are in the lives of the people here tonight. So as we enter into this Thanksgiving Day tomorrow, our hearts are filled with love, filled with gratitude. And we share all of that bounty and all of that love with every person we meet, all the people with whom we will share our meal tomorrow. And it is all good because it is all God. And so I release these words unto the mind of God, knowing that they are already done. For the answer is always yes, yes, and yes. And so I let go and let God and simply say together, and so it is.
In the morning when awake, freshness start to daybreak, the joy of one more day, chance to work and play. I give thanks to the universe, I no longer shout and curse for the opportunity to be a better me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Look right at myself and say I love you. Love you, love you, love you. A window for God's love to really shine through. Bless you, bless you, bless you. For the courage of the gone to be with me. The courage that it takes to be the true me. I sit down and meditate, say my prayer and then I wait. The word of God come through, the work for me to do. Next I breathe and exercise, look for more ways to be wise. Another opportunity, be a better me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Look right at myself and say I love you. Love you, love you, love you. I'm a window for God's will to really shine through. With the courage that it takes to be the true you. The courage that it takes to be the true you. In every moment through the day, seek out ways in which to say, I'm love divine. God's universe is mine. Living love's the way to go. Comes in fast and it goes out slow. One more opportunity, be a better me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Look right at myself and say I love you. Love you, love you, love you. I'm a window to God's love, I really shine through. Bless you, bless you, bless you. With the courage that it takes to be the true you. The courage that it takes to be the true you. Courage that it takes to be the true you.
So this is the time of our service when we give generously to this community to help and support its presence here and also its presence in the greater community of Encinitas and Carlsbad. And I'd like to invite the ushers to come forward, please, at this time. Thank you. And together, let's just say our giving affirmation. Today, I know the activity of God, the living Spirit, is at work in my life. I give and receive generously as I live in the flow of bountiful good. Thank you, Jeanette. Well, you know, a service like this does not come together just by magic. And I certainly had a lot of help and support tonight in doing this service. So I'd like to just acknowledge, in the back there with sound is Melanie Bennett and Steve Grant. On the video, thank you. Live streaming is Gregory Neville. Our beautiful practitioner holding the light, Valerie Rodriguez. Thank you very much. Our fabulous musicians, Jeanette Alexander and Ronnie Tretzven. Thank you very, very much. To my dear husband for his beautiful announcing tonight. Thank you. And to Ginny and Dennis Mills. Ginny is the coordinator of this service, and truly without her, it would not be possible. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Reverend Laurie McMacken, who I hope is watching this tonight. She is in Phoenix. I was filling in for her tonight, and she gave me so much coaching, so much support in pulling this all together. There's way more involved in this than I ever knew. So anyway, so why don't we all just right now stand and say a prayer of gratitude, because this is what tonight was all about. And we'll sing our final song together. So our prayer of gratitude. I am thankful for the good that is making my life richer and for the blessings filling my life. I trust that where I am right now is perfect. I am grateful for the divine ideas that are helping me grow in every area of my life, now and in the future. So our final song tonight is called Blessed Always. And we're going to sing it through a couple of times. You're going to come out here? Yeah. Okay.
And we have a special verse for the second. So pay attention to this.
I'm going to stand up.
Blessed always, may the Spirit of God dwell within us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Let's do it again. Blessed always, may the Spirit of God dwell within us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen.
Thank you, Ronnie. Ronnie is in this is really awkward. Ronnie's in ministerial school with me. So I just want to say to everybody two things. If you are in need of prayer right now, if there's anything heavy weighing on your heart tonight, please don't leave here without seeing and having a prayer session with any one of our practitioners. You will see them. They're wearing the green velvet stoles, and they can be found just outside this door here in front of the prayer chapel. Everybody else, if you'd like to join us for some tea and cookies in the family room, we would love to have you stay and mingle for a while. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm actually going to play